So day 4 of the 2018 NFL Scouting Combine is in the books. The Combine is over. For those that cared, Rich Eisen actually broke 6 seconds. Even though the simulcast may have shown something differently, there are shenanigans afoot. But nonetheless, day 4, the defensive backs. And while maybe not quite the level of talent and depth of talent of last year's class, this class of defensive backs, and there were a ton of them at the Combine, what was it like, a total between the corners and safeties of over 70? They weren't exactly schlubs. There were a lot of them that tested out really well. They drilled out really well. They just flat out balled out at the Combine. So I'm here to talk about those winners and, unfortunately, some of the losers for the defensive backs day at the Combine. Let's start off with the winners and the corners. Jaire Alexander from Louisville goes sub 4.4, over 10.5 feet in the broad jump. And you can make a strong argument that he was the best out of all the corners in the field drills. If he wasn't, then he was probably number 2. He had a great Combine. If the medicals come back decent on him, he probably vaulted himself into Thursday night discussion, meaning round 1 talk. That's probably the one thing that would hold him back at this point, because he looked really, really good. There are guys that come and they just kind of go through the motions, and there are guys that come to kick ass and dominate. Alexander came to kick ass and dominate, as did Tony Brown from Alabama. You might hear more about other defensive backs on that team, Minkah Fitzpatrick and Anthony Averett and Ronnie Harrison. Tony Brown showed his own 4.35 in the 40, 10.5 feet in the broad jump, and he again looked really good in the field drills. He, I would believe, with that speed, has cemented himself as a day 2 pick, whereas before the Combine, he might have been potentially a day 3 guy. Maybe, maybe not, but he certainly didn't hurt his draft stock here. He might even have vaulted into round 2 conversation, especially if you're thinking of him being a nickel-dime corner initially in the NFL and the increasing importance of that position to teams' defenses. Dante Jackson from LSU, 4.32 in the 40, great in the drills. He was talking beforehand about John Ross needs to not go to sleep because he might break that 4.22. That didn't happen, but at that height, the 40 time that he ran was absolutely outstanding. That, probably alone, whether it should or not, and you can say that with any of these guys that run great in the 40, it instantly elevates their draft stock. And Dante Jackson got a huge boost in his draft stock running that 4.32. And then to top it all off, looking good in the field drills. Avonte Maddox from Pittsburgh. Talk about a guy that ran again. Sub 4.4 in the 40, went 37 inches on the vertical, 10.5 in the broad jump. His 3-cone time was outstanding, 6.51 seconds. And another guy that was really good in the drills. Again, talking about guys that come to the Combine to show out. This was a forum that was meant for a guy like Maddox to show out. And Denzel Ward absolutely did, especially in the testing numbers. Talk about a top-rated corner in this draft, and he goes in there and he runs a 4.32, and his 10-yard split was incredible. I think it was even better than Lattimore's last year. It was like 1.47 seconds, just insane. Almost 40 inches in the vertical, over 11 feet in the broad jump. Denzel Ward probably showed enough athleticism here for a lot of teams to rate him as their number 1 corner in this draft, and yes, even over a Minkah Fitzpatrick, and he's probably a shoo-in to be a top 10 pick come April. The safety class, you got to look at the white boy, Troy Apke from Penn State. He ran 4.34 in the 40 officially, 4.34 I think it was, and he left Deion Sanders speechless, and everybody knew. Let's not beat around the bush. We know why Deion was stunned. He saw this white boy, and he didn't see mid-4.3s out of this white boy, and fair enough. I don't think anybody did, but he did. He tore it up. 41 inches in the vertical, 10.11 in the broad jump, 6.58 in the 3-cone. Apke made himself quite a bit of money, and a lot of teams are now scrambling to go back and look at his film and see if the player matches the athleticism, and I guarantee you he's going to get drafted even way above what his film might indicate he should, because you're running that fast, you're showing that much athleticism. It must be something in the water there at Happy Valley with James Franklin's program. They're not sitting there and covering up molestation of boys anymore. It's a real deal program where they're getting athletes, exquisite, exceptional athletes. Saquon Barkley lit up the Combine. Mike Gesicki lit up the Combine. Troy Apke lit up the Combine. Trey Flowers, the safety from Oklahoma State, as a 6'3" guy running in the mid-4.5s. Decent broad jump. He was really smooth and good in the field drills. Made himself quite a bit of money. Godwin Igwebuike, I hope I said that right, the safety from Northwestern, running 4.44 in the 40, 10.8 in the broad jump, a 3-cone time under 6.6 seconds. He was really good in the drills. This is one of these things where you take a player that really isn't all that much as a prospect, and then they go to the combine and they just light it up. They're kind of a combine workout warrior, and they make themselves a lot of money. Now, he's probably still a day 3 pick, but guaranteed he's a day 3 pick at the worst, as opposed to before he might have been an undrafted guy. Derwin James, a lot of Eric Berry comparisons, and I see it. At his size, running 4.47 is very, very solid. Really, really good. So anybody thinking about him potentially only being able to play like an in-the-box, strong safety type now might have to revisit it. The explosiveness he showed, 40-inch vertical, 11-foot broad jump. He was another guy really good in the drills. That was a big smashing weekend for Derwin James. Cements himself as a top 10 to 12 pick. Might go even a little bit higher than that. And then Justin Reed from Stanford. When you're talking about defensive backs and Derwin James and Minkah Fitzpatrick, there's a space there for another safety or a safety to come up into that round 1 consideration, and Reed might have been it. 4.4 flat in the 40, 36.5 in the vert, 10.8 in the broad jump, 6.65 in the 3-cone. Looked good in the field drills. Reed might have made himself a late round 1, very early round 2 pick based off of this performance. Those are the winners. Some of the losers, honestly, I got to say Minkah Fitzpatrick. His 40 time of 4.46 was good, not great. I mean, it's not slouch stuff. It's not terrible. You're not going to have any significant speed concerns. But he did run 4.46 when other guys were running low to mid 4.3s or high 4.3s, low 4.4s. I also thought he was a little stiff in the drills. It wasn't his best day. Thought he was a little high in his back pedal, just high in general. The film is still really good, but this was a day that you wondered with a Fitzpatrick, if he balls out, he probably cements his place maybe as a top 5 or 6 pick in this draft. Now all of a sudden Denzel Ward runs really, really well. Other guys run really, really well. Derwin James kind of balls out at the combine. Does Minkah Fitzpatrick potentially drop out of the top 10? And it's not that crazy to say that. Mike Hughes, you're talking about this kid here running 4.53 in the 40. An okay time, but not great. I thought he struggled in the drills quite a bit. Wasn't his best day. Same thing with Josh Jackson. A big guy at the corner position, but 4.56 in the 40 is good, not great. His 3-cone time was like 6.86 seconds. That's not very good. And he was kind of off and sluggish in the drills too, similar to Mike Hughes. When I talk about these numbers, it kind of goes into 2 parts. You got the measurable numbers, and then you got what you see in the drills. And Fitzpatrick, Hughes, Jackson, I didn't think they looked great in the drills. I thought the biggest loser in terms of the corner was Tavares McFadden from Florida State. Here's a guy that was in a lot of mocks, including mine, before the 2017 college season started, where he's a first-round pick. And then even the first half of the college football season, he's probably still listed as a round 1 to 2 pick. And then he goes out there and runs almost 4.7, and he stinks in the drills. He was so bad, you wonder if he'll get picked before round 5. Whereas, again, several months back, yes, it's an inexact science, but there was buzz about him being a first-round talent. And that shit ain't happening. Day 2 ain't happening. He'll be lucky to get in the first half of day 3. And then the safeties, you got Deshaun Elliott. I don't think he did anything bad. I just don't think he really stood out. I thought guys like Justin Reed and Jesse Bates from Wake Forest were better, looked better, performed better. Deshaun Elliott just kind of blended in a little bit. And this was a place where he needed to do more than blend in. Quinn Blanding ran over 4.6 in the 40. I thought he had mediocre jump numbers. He was okay, but not great in the drills. Again, another guy that when you had some other guys really balling out, really showing their athletic prowess, these are the guys that kind of slip through the cracks and fall by the wayside regardless of what the film says. The biggest loser of all for day 4 has to be Teron Johnson, the safety from Weber State. His face. Ouchies in the gauntlet drill. Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie. That sucks. But like a soldier, he dusted it off and he finished the drill, and that's got to count for something. But that can't feel good. You got a football whipped right at your frickin' face when you're not even looking for it. Woo! That's the biggest loser of the day, was Teron Johnson's face. But anyways, those are my winners and losers from day 4 of the 2018 NFL Scouting Combine. Let me know what you thought of the defensive backs and their performances this day. I actually thought in general it was a pretty good group. And even when I look at guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick and Mike Hughes and Josh Jackson, I almost feel like I'm nitpicking a little bit because I didn't think they were terrible. It's just, it wasn't the best day for them, especially when some other guys really showed out well. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you later.